The rate of kids taking prescription ADHD medications, it is literally millions and millions of kids are out there taking it. This has increased quite a bit in the past decade. Well, now a controversial new amphetamine is on the market that's supposed to taste like fruit candy. And we wanted to get into everything that surrounds this and whether it's the wrong message, et cetera. So we have joining us now addiction specialist Paul Moan, who's in our studio, and child and adolescent psychiatrist Dr. Dominic Sportelli, who's joining us via Skype. Paul, I want to ask you first, just because you're an addiction specialist, from your perspective, how do you feel about this concept of, okay, let's make them taste like candy?
I'm not surprised they're doing that because they're giving them out like candy. So I would be very concerned that giving it a candy flavor, making something more attractive and palatable to young children that's considered one of the most addictive and dangerous drugs on the planet, amphetamines, would be very concerning to parents.
Dr. Sportelli, I want to bring you into the conversation because obviously there are both children and adults out there that these medications can greatly benefit, and there's no one that can question that. But as someone who treats children, what is your reaction to this? Because again, I think you're probably having to see both sides of the story here.
These medicines should never be given first line for a true diagnosis of ADHD. We have a lot of things before we do that. For example, behavioral intervention, psychological intervention, school intervention with educational providers, parenting education as well. And if that all doesn't work, we even have non-stimulant medications for ADHD. And again, if that doesn't work, then we go to the stimulants. A very, very important point that I do want to stress is that true ADHD is really difficult on a child. And when you see a kid go back to school and start doing well in school and go from C's to A's, and their family life is better and their peer life is better because of this stimulant that's well regulated, it's a really great thing to see as a physician, especially in psychiatry.
So how are we I'm going to get passionate about this a little bit because I feel pretty strongly that these are way overprescribed. My own experience, my niece, who as a teenager was dealing with everything from anxiety to depression, then one day I get the phone call, oh, and now she has ADHD, and now she's on amphetamines, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, I know my niece really well. And I cannot believe now she's carrying this additional diagnosis that I disagree with, and now she's on amphetamines, couldn't sleep, more anxious. And then I find out that a quarter of the kids in her school are on it. And this is where, as a doctor, you get frustrated with the medical profession because just like the opiate epidemic, these are getting handed out way too easily. The prescription is just there are doctors out there, oh, well, you may have ADHD, here's the medication, here's the medication.
And that's my big concern. Maybe we should reevaluate, and only super specialists should be prescribing this, because I'm afraid there's pediatricians or family practitioners.
That's the problem is, Drew, if you have a medical license and a DEA number, you cannot, realistically, the same thing with all controlled substances. So it has to be more awareness, and that's why we're having this conversation, because...
But I think this particular one is so troubling to me as a mom because of the candy flavor to this. I mean, kids don't like taking medications, but this isn't the right way to get them to take it.
Dr. Sportelli, what's your answer to that, the fact that they're offering candy-flavored now amphetamines?
Well, I got to tell you, number one, as a parent of 3 young boys, and number 2, as a doctor, it was initially disturbing. It really was. And then my pragmatic and clinical mind sort of superseded that. And I realized, I said, you know, there are plenty of patients of mine that truly have ADHD, that are really suffering, and they really need a stimulant to help them, but they won't take it. They won't take it because they can't swallow pills, or they won't take it because the drops taste terrible. So part of me thinks that in that select population, and a very select population, I might add, in a young adult, you know, I mean, we can diagnose as young as 6 years old. I know that sounds young, but 6, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, these children that need the medicine that won't take it, it really may benefit them and may be easier for the child and the parent, the entire process. It just may make the process easier for everybody.